Hello everyone, welcome to Celestial Invitational Day number 3. I'm D2, and today I'm joined by the super talented Kyle D from Temple Storm. Now before we get started, I do want to thank Temple Storm for allowing us to stream on their channel to get this out to as many people as possible, and thanks to Team Celestial itself for letting us cast this in English. Today we have a super interesting group with Kolento, Tom60229, that's a rematch of the finals of the PAX Prime in the summer, as well as Shadowy and Chao Shen, a cult Chinese hero. What do you think about this group, Kaldi?
It's very interesting. Tom obviously been on an absolute tear recently. Did really well at Ashes Rock, beat Kolento 4-3 last time around in the finals there, so he's been doing extremely well. He was kind of known as a mediocre player, one of the I guess stronger Asians that came out to the European tournament circuit, but then he just turned things up and started winning tournament after tournament and getting top three, top four again and again. Kolento has been kind of up and down. I mean, Kolento is Kolento. He's always good, but he had a streak where he was winning maybe 2, 3 tournaments a month. But I feel like recently he's just been doing okay for Kolento standard, which is still really good, but it's not, god like Kolento that was winning every tournament a few months ago.
Yeah, definitely. Even Kolento on a bad streak is still a very impressive player. I want to remind everyone that we are piggybacking on the Chinese stream, so that's why you see the different Chinese casters on the screen rather than Kaldi and me. And we do see the match order there on the screen, going to be Kolento versus Shadowy first, then Tom60229 versus Chaoshin after that. And if you aren't familiar with the tournament, haven't been keeping up the past couple days, what they do is a full round robin, no GSL style. And the reason why it's a full round robin is so that the players get to play all 9 decks today. So everyone plays 3 matches, and they have to use 3 different classes for every single match that they play. It's super cool. You get to see all the decks out there, even Shaman, even some of the lesser played decks, and it leads to some really cool outcomes, like when Firebat brought some just off the wall decks a couple days ago, like the Mill Rogue, like the Freeze Priest, quote unquote, like Freeze Mage with no Antonitis and no Alex Straza, and he was able to go 3-0. So lots of cool things that we get to see today. And one thing, yeah, like you mentioned, Kolento being in this group is really cool, especially for the Chinese audience. The Chinese, basically Chinese, as we see Kolento on the screen right there, part of Cloud9. And basically, Chinese players love Kolento, as we see his decks on the screen there. I guess I'll go over China's love of Kolento in a couple seconds after we go over his decks. He's playing Rogue, Shaman, and Mage. The Rogue looks like it's a pretty standard... oh, no, just kidding. There are Raptors in there. And,
Seems semi-standard, yeah. There are a lot of Oil Rogue, capabilities. So it seems mixed Raptor and Oil Rogue, as in the Raptor Rogue tends to go full out with eggs, with loot hoarders, but this is only including, I mean, there's 2 setters, there's going to be a Thalnos, but not that much. So I'm not sure I like this too much, but I mean, the Raptor still is a 3-4 in its own right without having any Death Rattle synergies. So we have the Tempo Mates on top of that, and then we have the Aggro Shaman, which has been doing really well. Luffy getting really high with that on the NA ladder, but he didn't play a Mac version, and we were talking about this in Tempo Storm, and it seems to be a Overload version with Feral Spirits that just has every top deck is strong generally, but the Mac version just has an automatically strong start. Now we have Shadowy here with the standard. It seems to be kind of standard double combo druid, almost rampy with 1 inch the war. Then we have a Mill Rogue.
Yeah, Mill Rogue is going to be really interesting to see. That's really cool. The second time we've seen this tournament, obviously Firebat being the first person to show that, and also the Secret Paladin as well. So really excited to see this. As you saw on the screen there, Shadowy does not have a team. When I talked to Celestial's manager, he basically compared him to Silent Storm. I'm getting people mixed up.
Ooh.
Silent Storm before ESL, basically, does well in the online tournaments. Tries to qualify for things, and did a good job coming here, getting through the qualifier to get here. The people in his bracket in the qualifier up until this point were Chinese pros like Zoro, Zuiwo, and China YLD. So good on him to get here. I think this is his first big tournament, so good luck to him as he tries to get out of this pretty stacked group. Back to Kolento and China's love for him. They call him K-God. They basically worship everything that he does, just like some Western fans do as well, calling him God Lento. So interesting to see, his reception is for the Chinese fans and how he does today.
Absolutely here. I think one important thing is we had EU versus China, the most brutal qualifiers where we had one person going through and there was a best of three single elimination uh, tournament for each spot essentially. I'm obviously very salty about that because I got top four but didn't make the cut there. But yeah, Kolento ended up being the only person invited from Europe to that tournament, and that's just because the Chinese fans love him. He ended up going super far in the tournament, didn't end up winning, but he just yeah, has proved himself so often here. I think it's going to be a very interesting combination because we have the Chinese players, and the Chinese players have more time. I feel because there's not as many huge tournaments. If we look at Shadowy, for example, he isn't playing a 10K event,
Hmm.
every other day here like Kolento. So Shadowy will have a lot more time. I feel to study Kolento and study Tom and really prepare better. So I'm expecting better preparation from Chaos and Shadowy, but I'm expecting more experience and I guess clarity from Kolento and Tom. I'm not expecting to get nervous. That may be something the Shadowy and Chaos are dealing with. So it'll be an interesting scenario here.
Yeah, definitely. Really interesting to see this match. I mean, obviously, like you say, Shadowy probably has more time to study up on Kolento, but at the same time, Kolento is going to be having basically zero nerves. He's been in the spotlight so many times, and look for him to be playing to his fullest potential. Whereas Shadowy, maybe he might not show his best here because those nerves might come into play. You never know. And just going over the group one more time, this is absolutely an amazing day for Chinese fans in particular because of Kolento, obviously, and because of Chao Shen. He is that cult hero, like I said. I'll explain that story later when he goes against Tom 60229 later in the day. But I assume we're getting ready for this particular match. What do you think about this match, these matchups in particular, speaking of the decks? It's going to be an Oil Rogue with the Raptor in there and the kind of more Reynad cut tilted, mech shaman or the aggro shaman, not more Luffy focused. That being the more overload focused, and then also the tempo mage versus that combo druid with the one ancient of war, the mill rogue, and the seeker paladin. Who do you like here as the favorite? Just for looking at these decks.
I think Kolento is going to be a strong favorite just based on the decks. If this was player A versus player B, I'd give player A, which in this case is Kolento, a huge edge. And I want to talk about that. How you beat Secret Paladin is you get a better start and you go for their face. When they have to start playing defensive, you aren't proccing the secrets and they just get into some trouble. That's why, I feel like the Aggro Shaman will be good against that. I feel like another counter to the Paladin is Rogue, because you have the Phantom Knives for the muster. You have a lot of removal, so I feel like Rogue will be strong against the Paladin as well. And Tempo Mage are probably losing against the Paladin. We talk about Mill Rogue. Mill Rogue is really bad against decks that are kind of combo-y, that can play many cheap spells for a lot of value in a turn. So what type of decks would those be? That would be, I guess, Rogue, I guess Aggro Shaman, and I guess Tempo Mage. So I feel like if Shadowy is going to win this match, the key will be getting a win with that Rogue. And if we look at the Druid as well, I mean, Druid versus Tempo Mage is slightly favored for the Tempo Mage. Druid versus Aggro Shaman is just favored for the Aggro Shaman, and Druid versus Rogue, people are talking about that being like 55 for the Rogue, but a close matchup nonetheless, because the Rogue has a very easy way to deal with the Darnassus, which Shadowy is actually only running one of.
Yeah, exactly. And looking at those statistics, I mean, Monk obviously compiled a lot of those back before, I think even before TGT came out. And, that matchup hasn't changed too much other than Darnassus. And despite what a lot of pros like to say about, favoring Rogue, it actually favored Druid statistically, but obviously, it's kind of skewed by whoever pilots those particular decks. Going back to that Mill Rogue, I mean, Firebat did a really good job piloting it and getting a win in his first game with it against Druid, but we interviewed him after, and he mentioned in particular that if you it's a good matchup if your opponent doesn't know how to play that particular matchup. And he said that what you do is you want to keep the double combo, and all you have to do is play one minion, get the double combo off, and just win the game. Obviously, we're not going to be seeing the Milrogue go against Druid this match, but it'll be interesting to see if Kolento knows how to play against the Milrogue. And like you say, it might be pretty easy for him to do so because he's going to have so many cheap things to play in that Mage and that Shaman. Kind of in the Rogue too. However, sometimes if you draw too many cards with Rogue, you can run out of options, only being able to, especially if you have things like Azure Drake and Sprint stuck in your hand that you basically can't use anymore. But enough about that. We're finally into that first game. It's going to be Tempo Mage versus Druid, and this is a pretty good matchup for the Mage.
Absolutely, but a big thing is that the Mage doesn't have the coin, and coin is so critical in this matchup. There's also no mana worm, and having a mana worm is compared to having wild growth. It's that strong and big of a difference here, but Innovate, wild growth, Loatheb, and Shredder. I think keeping Loatheb is brave. It's not, but I mean, I would have maybe thought about throwing away the Loatheb and getting a Shade, because then you can coin out and have a stronger curve. But this is not bad at all.
Yeah, do you
well,
think... I think maybe I think maybe that was post Mulligan, what they showed on the screen there, or am I mistaken?
Oh yeah, he kept three of his cards and got a new one for the Druid of the Claw. But I really like it. He's probably gonna go for, I think, Druid of the Claw now. But yeah, Kolento, I mean, the Shredder is decent. He has a 2-drop. So this is all right, but it's not the best by any means. There's no Mad Scientist, there's no Flamemaker, so I think this is going to be even favored here for the Druid. But now we look at, and he top decks the Shade here on turn 2. What a draw! But if to go back a bit, we're talking about the Oil Rogue versus Druid, and that'd be statistically better for the Druid. I think an important thing is the players that play Rogue. Generally, players that play Rogue don't do as well as Druid because Druid is much simpler to play. Mm-hmm. So I think it's noteworthy. But the players that actually are bringing Rogues to top tournaments tend to do better against Druids with their Rogue. So I think, yeah, for an average player, the Druid does better, but for the top player, the Rogue does slightly better. But here, yeah, an interesting, he charges the Druid with the Claw. Yeah, I think Taunt may have been okay.
Yeah, he had a lot of options there. I think he was a bit afraid of the 3-mana Fireball coming out to kill his Druid of the Claw, and that would have been a pretty big tempo swing, would have taken some damage there. And this does force the ping out, so now he has first play, which is kind of nice. You're getting, a Shredder out against nothing from the main. That feels pretty good as the Druid, so in the end, can't really fault him too much. Just playing it a bit safe. Could have also gone for the Loatheb to shut down any sort of, tempo play from that Sorcerer's Apprentice. And yeah, just so many things going well for Shadowy. He has his, quote-unquote broken start, right? Every class needs to have some sort of broken start to compete in today's super competitive, meta game. And Kolento just had an okay start, didn't have the broken start. Shadowy got that broken start, and now he's pretty far ahead, I would say.
Absolutely here. What strikes me as a bit weird is that, Shadowy is bringing Paladin and Druid to, I guess, I would classify them as tier 1 classes, and then he brings the Milrogue on top of that. So to me, this looks like 2 really strong decks and 1 really weak deck. And for Conquest, that isn't generally how you want to go about things. But yeah, he definitely has the strongest classes here for game number 1. Kolento thinking a long time. I guess he's thinking, weighing up the options between Shredder and Apprentice Secret. I think Shredder is the correct play here. I guess mainly he's afraid of the Keeper. Now we have Loatheb coming down. It's really, really strong. And going face. Really like going face here.
Yeah, exactly. You don't really need to trade for the Shredder if you're not in any sort of trouble. Basically, the person defending has to make that trade. And so good on Shadowy, recognizing that. Kind of liking his play so far, making some decent plays, especially for someone who in his first time in this big environment. Have a decision here between the Flame Cannon, Arcane Intellect, and Pyroblast. Goes for the Flame Cannon. Nice little tempo card there, can take out a minion most likely. And Kolento kind of hanging in there, but you really want to be, getting the edge on the Druid if you want to be finishing this game out. Otherwise, Druid just has so much damage potential.
Oh yeah, Kolento is simply just behind here. It will be interesting to see what he's going to do this turn. I think definitely his idea behind not killing the Shredder is because he has Sylvanas, because Shadowy has Sylvanas. So Shadowy definitely wants to just assure that he gets something from the Death Rattle. Now looking at Shade and Wrath.
Yeah,
I kind of would have,
taking out a
yeah.
5 drop. I mean, obviously he gets a spell out of that, does Kolento, but taking that guy out feels pretty good. Pretty nice to get rid of a 6 attack minion with just a 2 mana spell, and you develop a Shade, which is pretty powerful in itself. I kind of like this play. Playing the Sylvanas, maybe your 5/5 trades into the 6/3. So I mean, in the end, he's keeping the pressure up, which is pretty good.
Absolutely. I think it was a tough call. I mean, he had so much health, and is he gonna play Sylvanas later when the Zerrer is maybe able to trade? Because he would have had something out of the Sylvanas, absolutely, in that case. Now, Colento's not gonna wait any longer, goes for the Flame Cannon, and misses completely.
Oh yeah, in particular, yeah, that Flame Waker just 2 to the face. That's so bad for him. The Flame Cannon, I mean, no matter what it hit, it was gonna get something pretty valuable there. But yeah, I mean, obviously getting the card or getting the minion with the least health doesn't feel too good, and now he's just gonna have to roll the dice and hope that this flame maker hits. Nope, hits the face and Loatheb.
Ooh.
Complete whip on the side of Kolento, and Shadowy. He doesn't show it, but he's got to be feeling pretty happy about that.
I guess one thing that kind of surprises me is that Kolento doesn't have the sphere in the middle. Now, in case of the Flame Tongue Totem or the Dire of Alpha. So, it's not a mistake we see from Kolento all the time. I think, when people are casting Kolento, they assume, oh, he's just, he has some, different angle on this play. He must be thinking about it and be making the right call. But
Yeah,
having the,
Kolento's
yeah,
capable of making misplays too. The thing about Kolento, I've noticed, is that he can make misplays here and there, but he is one of the players though who can make absolutely brilliant plays that few players in the world can see. That's what kind of sets him apart in these kinds of matches. But yeah, I mean, not infallible, but I would say that this match isn't, or this particular game isn't really his fault too much. Just a kind of weak draw compared to his opponent.
oh yeah, absolutely. The only thing I'm talking about is the sweater not being in the middle,
There we go.
and
He fixed it.
now he has the sweater in the middle. So yeah, absolutely here. Learning from his mistakes, I guess. Here, the fireball being really strong. Wonder if he's facing the Smith. I think. I guess it's okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so after, Shadowy being ahead the entire time, all of a sudden, Kolento showing the power of the Tempo Mage, and Shadow is even at 21 health, so, I mean, Kolento can maybe potentially make something happen here if he can continue this. However, this Sylvanas is pretty difficult to deal with, and Shadowy is threatening lethal if that sticks on the board.
Oh yeah, I would have kind of wanted to see how this would have gone if he'd just gone for the Sylvanas the last turn. How this game would have unfolded. But he Shadowy has the combo now, and so he would probably able to clear whatever Kolento puts onto the board. Gonna be looking at probably a trade now before Asher Drake, I would have thought, or is he just gonna go face? That may be a viable play as well.
Yeah, I mean, I know it's just so difficult for Kolento right now, right? Because if he trades, he gives his opponent the 2 drop coming from that Paladin Shredder, and that just by itself would be lethal for Shadowy. Now Shadowy has to kind of determine what that secret is, because if he starts off with the Force of Nature and his counterspell, it's absolutely devastating. He has almost nothing else to do. So it looks like he's gonna just brave it, and yeah, gonna be rewarded for his bravery. It's gonna give him the game that is not Ice Block, and Shadowy is going to take a 1-0 lead in this series, and his Druid is cleared.
Just really solid draws from his point of view. Got the Innovate, had the Loatheb, had the Shredder, had the Wild Growth. He just kind of had everything he needed to win this game here. Kolento getting really rough Flamemaker hits, rough Flame Cannon hits. So it's kind of hard to argue that Kolento, played worse. I saw only one misplay from Kolento and none really from Shadowy here, so well done to him. He's 1-0 up. I
Yeah,
guess, though, I want to talk about the last turn from Kolento not fitting into Sylvanas. Now, Kolento is behind, and when you're behind, the wrong thing to do is just to play middle of the way, because then you'll probably just stay behind. Now, this is a term from StarCraft that's, when you're behind, you go all in, kind of. And
yeah.
that's what I definitely think is the correct thing to do. And if you're behind, you shouldn't really be playing around things like combo generally. I mean, Kolento, it was strong for him to go face. He needed to take the risk, and he took the risk of not having combo. And I think he made the right call, even though Shadowy did have the combo here.
Yeah, I
It's
mean, you
hard for
can
him to
only
know.
really play around cards if you can afford to play around cards, right? Because say if Kolento tried to play around combo there, what's his play really? His play is to trade both guys in and then play the Ezra Drake and then hope that he has a removal spell for the 2-drop that his opponent steals, and that's just not a winning play in the end. If your opponent does have combo, you lose anyway, and if he doesn't have combo, then you're basically shooting yourself in the foot by making that play. So in the end, has to take a risk. Didn't pay out for him just because Shadow did have the combo in hand. Now we have a super interesting matchup. I think this is Shadowy's best chance to win with this Mill Rogue because, like you mentioned, the Mage and the Shaman just has so many cheap cards to be able to feel them and just, basically just throw out the cards in their hand and never be milled and just use them to their full potential. Whereas in this case, Kolento, you can see in his hand he has those double Azure Drakes. Those could be clunky if Shadowy is able to start putting cards into the hand of Kolento.
Oh, no question here. Yeah, this is going to be. I mean, there's some potential that he would beat the Shaman with just Deadly Poison on top of it, but I think you're right here. The Cold Light Oracles and the Brand will be very important in this matchup and how he uses the gang up, but this is still uphill. I think Kolento is favored here. But to talk about the last game, though, what I wanted to say is if I was put in the same situation as Kolento, I would have also not killed the Sylvanas, and I think if Kolento went back to this game and had the same situation come up tomorrow, I think he also would have, gone face instead of killing the Sylvanas there.
Right, right.
But yeah, now I'm feeling like Phantom Knives is the strong call here.
Yeah, Fan of Knives doesn't really have much utility in this matchup other than killing some apprentices from the Violet Teacher, or maybe if you have spell damage, that can work too. This match is going to be pretty interesting because it's going to be a match in how quickly can Kolento figure out that Shadowy is indeed Mill Rogue and not your typical Oil Rogue. Shadowy might have it on his mind that he could be playing against Mill Rogue too. I think that was part of his apprehension in playing that Fan of Knives because, now Shadowy sees that Unearthed Raptor, so maybe he thinks it could be, Death Rattle Rogue as well. So lots of options here. Typically, I mean, before League of Explorers, it was basically all Oil Rogue all the time. And now Shadowy is kind of wondering what he could be facing. And obviously Kolento doesn't have a full grasp on what Shadowy is playing either.
Could backstab pair of gang up be possible? I mean, that wouldn't be the worst minion to get, I feel.
I think I think in this matchup, it's probably going to go a while because Shadowy, has so many options in his deck to be able to prevent Kolento from killing him. That being those vanishes and the saps, and also just removal in general. So I think Shadowy is going to be played for the long game and doesn't want to get bad gang up. Wants to get gang up on those Colette Oracles, potentially Healbot or something like that. But probably not looking to get the Raptor there.
And Shadow looking really worried here about this Azure Drake. I wonder if he's gonna sap it. It kind of seems like something you would do if you're playing Milrogue here.
Yeah, it could be the right play here. I mean, and it's like if you're playing, Oil Rogue versus Oil Rogue in the mirror there, Ezreal is actually one of the better minions to sap because of that tempo swing that it provides. So it wouldn't automatically, show to Kolento that Shadowy is playing that Mill Rogue. But in this case, I wouldn't be too opposed to it. Nothing else really for Shadowy to do here other than trade his minion in and maybe redagger or something. But that feels pretty bad.
Absolutely. I mean, we didn't see a backstab, so I think this has to be a sap though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, it almost is like a kill, right? Because if you sap that away, and Kolento really, I mean, he could play it, but then that plays in the Shadowy's hand. And if Kolento figures out later that this is Mill Rogue, then Kolento is not going to want to play it. So this is essentially a kill in a strange way.
Yeah, I'd go further and saying it's even stronger than a kill because you also mess up your opponent. But it seems like we're having minor lag here.
Yeah, the connection issues between the players, especially because they have to both play on the China server, kind of messes with them sometimes. But yeah, we get through it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Even yeah, I would classify it as as a kind of stable compared to that. I mean, the Battle.net spectator mode is always a bit clunky. I mean, it's just how it is. So even if it's EU versus EU or NA versus NA, you still have problems, I feel.
Yeah, definitely. So Kolento, I don't know if he's starting to recognize if this is indeed Milrogue or not, but he did himself a huge favor here by playing the prep eviscerate, and now he is able to, get some cards out of hand for any potential mill in the future. Shadowy, however, hasn't picked up anything. A huge draw there would have been that Cold Light Oracle, but unable to draw it in this instance.
Yeah, I mean, with Bran, it's kind of crazy how many cards you're drawing then. Also, perhaps gang up that, but it's not going to come down again. I think it has to be.
Yeah, what about the Sap and Big Game Hunter? Just Tempo Big Game Hunter. Because Shadowy, I mean, sometimes you see Dr. Boom in Rogue decks, but I mean, I don't think I would suspect Kolento would be playing any Dr. Booms in his deck.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible though. Not likely, I'd say. Maybe Shadowy doesn't want to take the risk. I mean, the Big Hunter is going to die so easily. Uh, but I mean, it would maybe be a bit of a bluff because if I saw a Big Hunter, wouldn't necessarily expect it to be a Milrogue. He's gonna keep the weapon. Wow. Okay.
Yeah,
Kind of felt like
I
he
think he's
wasn't
just
in a
kind of
position. Yeah.
hoping. He's just kind of hoping that he draws into something, and at this point, he's kind of due, right? So maybe that could be the case. As far as Kolento is concerned, kind of a clunky hand. He kind of wishes he had 7 mana here to be able to go with the Shredder and SI7 agent. As it stands, I mean, killing this is kind of clunky. And so it looks like he's just going to go with the Sap. Kolento realizing he doesn't have anything that the BGH just kills anyway, so just getting the card out of hand as we see the graphic for the Cold Light Oracle on the screen. Vanish hits Shadowy's hand, and don't want to be vanishing this,
This just
unfortunately.
won't cut it. Yeah, this is 50% of the games we just don't draw the Cold Light Oracle, and then you're just in a lot of trouble. I mean, think about it, if you had the Cold Light Oracle, you could have messed Kolento up, but Kolento seems to definitely recognize that this is Milrogue. He is playing accordingly, throwing out as many cards as he possibly can each turn.
Yeah, you can definitely see he's starting to catch on a bit, especially when you see 2 Saps in a row. I mean, if you're playing an oil rogue, you can have dead hands, but typically not this dead, right? Going through, basically 10 cards and have nothing to play other than, one single SI7 agent. It's pretty unlikely that that would be the case. So, looks like Shadowy has nothing else to do but just to, Big Game Hunter and pass. The good news for Shadowy, even though he's had nothing to do so far, is he's coming up on turn 8 and hasn't taken any damage thus far, so that could definitely work in his favor. Lothib might hit the board soon, and that would cause problems for Shadowy, however.
Yeah, but I mean, there's possibilities that Shadow would just gang up the Lothep. Something I've been doing myself when I've been playing Milrogue is if you face Lothep, you just gang up it. Especially against Rogue, I mean, it's so strong. Now, Shadow Step will just not cut it. I think, is Vanish even something you may have to look at this point? It's just, his hand is completely dead. Wouldn't blame him.
Yeah, and you're not gonna
Vanish is still,
vanish.
yeah.
You're not gonna vanish anything more than 2 minions typically from a rogue, so I think it's kind of okay. I mean, Shadowy's hand would be perfect if he just had one Cold Light Oracle. He could Cold Light Oracle. He could prep vanish, or he could Cold Light Oracle, gang up, prep vanish. That would be absolutely amazing. Even throw in maybe a Shadow Step in there as well, something like that. But looks like it's just gonna be vanish, and now Clinton knows 100% that this is Mill Rogue.
Absolutely. So, I mean, he has the Lothep on top of everything. I feel like even just replaying what he just played last turn may be okay. Now, Phantom Knives is pretty dead, and the double Blade Flurry as well. But Kolento isn't a commanding lead in this game, but one Cold Oracle might change everything. He will need to wait a bit, but we see the Death Lord. Okay, that's playable here, I guess, but it would have been a lot stronger with the Vanish. Now he has the flurry, but no oil or no deadly poison for the flurry. So this is just pretty bleak here for Shadowy. I think the Deathlock has to come down though.
Yeah, and it kind of just shows just how bad Shadowy's draw was, right? I mean, he could have drawn Cold Light, he could have drawn Death Lord, he could have drawn so many other things, but just everything went going wrong for him this game. And like you said, just has to probably drop this Death Lord and basically pass.
Gang upping the Loatheb is a possibility, I think, but I like the Death Lords more here in this case.
Yeah, getting up the Death or the Loatheb. I mean, you take a guaranteed, what would that be, 12 damage right now, and then from there you're kind of just using that. You're trying to maybe use that Loatheb in the future, and I mean, you can't really even use the Loatheb off the next draw anyway. So yeah, just looking really bad for Shadowy. And not only that, but if he does drop this game, then Kolento will be able to kind of, you know, make the right mulligans for this deck in the future as well.
Kolento looking really disappointed. Got the sprint of the top, then gets the prep. Almost relieved here. It's really early in Europe, so that may be a part of it. He looks really, really sleepy at this point now. We have prep. What are we gonna see here? Perhaps the Blade Flurry. Interesting, interesting.
Makes
Going
sense.
to
I mean,
attack
just you just want
into
to get
it.
cards out of your hand, right? Just don't want any crazy, Colette Oracle shenanigans, especially with Brand Bronzebeard. Double drawing essentially for you. So yeah, it just puts as much stuff on the board. Already seen one vanish, so unlikely to be another one. And that's game, I believe. I mean, Shadowy can't even draw any cards. So
Has to be a Doomsayer kind of from the Powerless. That's the only scenario that I'm seeing that
right.
you can keep him alive, but 10 health is pretty bleak.
And then what do you even play into proc the Eviscerate? I mean, it's hard to use your face here to take 4 damage, right? So you have to prep the Eviscerate, which feels bad. Even just going for the 1 in 70 Doomsayer is painful for you.
Yeah, I mean, Blade Flurry might even be something he needs to play. It's just so bleak though. Gang up doesn't feel like you can throw that away. Prep, you can't really throw that away, I feel, because when the cooldown hits, you want to be playing prep gang up. I think Flurry may be what you need to go for.
It's
Flurry
just funny
Eviscerate.
how we're analyzing how he's gonna go for the 1 in 70, right? It's so bleak for him. All right, is it a Doomsayer? Not a Doomsayer. Going to be the Narrow Bar Weblord, and that's going to be a game well played. Is thrown out, and Kolento takes game number 2 and evens the series 1-1.
No question here, yeah. I mean, Kolento had a strong matchup for game number 1. Lost it slightly due to a worse draw. It was in a big lead for the matchup here in game number 2 and took it convincingly. So Kolento having, yeah, 2 strong matchups here in this series, but still only 1-1. So Shadowy pulling out some tricks here. Now,
Yeah, but like you said
this
earlier, you said that the Rogue was the weak point of Shadowy's lineup, and the fact that Kolento won. I mean, it's arguable what's if he had how favored it was for Kolento, but I think it's pretty obvious that that was the best chance for Shadowy to take a win with that Rogue, and the fact that he didn't means that Kolento is in a really good spot to take this series overall.
well, no question. And now, generally, if you're playing Paladin, you wouldn't really keep uh, the Knife Juggler against Shaman. That's generally not something you do.
Right.
So, does he have some information that we don't
I mean,
have?
I guess maybe you could go. I mean, if you go coin Knife Juggler, you don't really suspect more than one piece of removal because Shaman obviously has that removal, but you wouldn't really keep 2. So maybe you go coin Knife Juggler here to contest the Tunnel Trog, and then once he removes it, you play the second Knife Juggler, and then from there he can't remove it, and hopefully you draw into Muster for Battle, which he has drawn into. So maybe that's the thought process behind keeping both.
Yeah. So the mini bot is definitely stronger of the 2 wonders here, but he gets a second frog. Oh
Wow.
my god, this is just brutal. Now we talk about the third matchup here. I feel like Kolento is slightly favored, but this is probably the closest it's going to be. Uh, so better to face this than the definitely better to face this than Tempo Mates.
Yeah, definitely. And one thing to point out before we get too far into this game is that these players want to be winning every single game. There's no, pride or, I have to win with this deck because I brought it because it's Conquest. Sometimes people do that, right? But there's a big difference between losing 3-0 and losing 3-2, as we saw on the first day when Live Coach was able to win a tiebreaker when he lost to Firebat only 3-2 and not 3-0 in that particular match. He was close to losing 3-0, but getting those 2 wins allowed him to move to the finals. So every single game matters. So these players definitely want to be bringing the best decks to be able to pick up any wins that they can.
Oh yeah, just to clarify, I guess. So if there's going to be a three-way
Wow.
tie for 1-2 in that case, there's no tiebreaker played out, but there is going to be a tiebreaker just based on game score. And if we just talk about the group A, there will be Life Coach with a 6-7 score against Blue and Zoro with a 5-7 score. So even though Life Coach lost to Zoro, he goes through in second place, where Zoro is in fourth place, just because, Life Coach lost one of his games 3-2, and yeah.
Yeah, so it ended up working out in the end for him, but this play from Kolento right now, throwing both Tunnel Trogs into the Knife Juggler, really concerned about the potential for Muster for Battle, and he pretty much gets rewarded. And I mean, that would have been a disaster if, Shadowy could have killed one of the Tunnel Trogs, then played the Muster for Battle, basically, unleashed the dudes onto Kolento. And solid play from Kolento, but he's still in a tough position here, basically holding on to his board for dear life so he can get that damage. And the Consecration is drawn.
Ooh, wow. Yeah, we're talking about the differences in the Aggro Paladin, Aggro Shaman, sorry, here. And now one of them, the Mac version, apparently has no bad starts versus the non-Mac version having no bad top decks. And that's kind of just proven here, as that's going to be pretty bad for Kolento. Looks like he may even be going down in this game. I mean,
Yeah. I mean, Shadow even able to preserve his life total by not taking the 3 damage last turn, knowing that the only way he loses is if Kolento picks up, a Doom Hammer or something and starts hitting in the face. So threw away the 1-1 last turn to make that happen, and now even picks up the Noble Sacrifice. Typically, you don't want to see Secret Shop before the Mysterious Challenger, but in this case, I mean, it's another extra mana that he can use paired with this Blessing of Kings. It's going to work out pretty well for him. Probably going to proc right now with his Power Mace, and he's going to get another Noble Sacrifice once he plays this Mysterious Challenger. So this game looking great for Shadowy.
now I've been more critical of Kolento overall in this series, but this last play I think is a mistake from Shadowy. And I want to talk about that. He was planning to play Mysterious Challenger, and I assume he has the second Noble Sacrifice, because everyone runs the second Noble Sacrifice. So it would be very likely that the Noble Sacrifice wouldn't get procced. I mean, Kolento top decking a weapon isn't that likely. So then you're just throwing away a Noble Sacrifice.
Well, I
So
think he figures that in the end he can play the second Mysterious Challenger, and then it'll eventually pull it. So, and he had the extra mana, so I think it was kind of okay. But in the end, does take the game, and it's going to be 2-1 in favor of Shadowy. Obviously, different lines of play that could have been played there from him, but is able to take the win. Unfortunately, Shaman has not been working out too well, despite doing well on the ladder, as we saw Rayned and Luffy piloted to high legend ranks.
oh yeah, it just comes down to can you deal with the initial wave when you're facing the Mac version, and can the Shaman get a decent enough start if you're facing the non-Mac version. But just to talk about the last game, what I would have liked him to do is go Shredder, Noble Sacrifice, kill the Rolling Tap-O-Matic with the token and the weapon, leaving the 1-1 alive, because the 1-1 is going to attack anyway. So then you guarantee you proc the Noble Sacrifice, you kill the 4-3, and you have a better chance to get reach out of the king. Because I mean, stuck on the board, the setter is much stronger than a 5-3.
Right. It definitely makes sense to, make sure you get the value out of that. Just playing devil's advocate here. Shadowy was following a line of play where he didn't take any damage. The previous turn, he didn't take damage from the spider tank by using his face, and instead use one of his tokens. And just, afraid of something like a top deck, Doom Hammer just coming out and smacking him in the face over and over again, and just getting that crazy burst in that Shaman is capable of doing. But yeah, definitely either way could have worked. Definitely your play. I think he was in such a dominant position that he probably would have won anyway. But as far as this
True
game
that,
goes,
yeah.
sorry.
Absolutely true that. But if you're playing scared, that's something, Western pros definitely. I mean, When I've been casting stuff like Divinity, you definitely see,
Mm,
people that are facing Firebat or facing, Life Coach.
right.
Maybe if it's, people from the qualifier, they it's like, oh, he definitely has the combo and he has this and he has Dr. Boom and I have to save all of these things and play around all of these things and play really, and they just end up playing too scared and fall into a lot of traps here. But now, yeah, this is a bit rough.
Yeah, the Paladin Cheddar was a very good card to get off of that Death Lord. One of the best cards that in the game. One of the best. I mean, basically the best 4-drop. I think everyone would admit. And you're seeing exactly why this matchup is so poor for the Mill Rogue. Because I mean, you give the Mill Rogue or give the Tempo Mage, excuse me, cards, and they're able to use them pretty effectively, as we saw with that Flame Cannon last turn. And Shadowy with nothing to do this next turn after Kolento makes his turn, other than to give his opponent cards, which obviously cannot feel very good.
Yeah, I want to go ahead and talk about the last turn. He started to hesitate a bit when he was attacking with the weapon. I saw no reason to use the deadly poison last turn. He could
Mm.
have just attacked with his 1/1 weapon and killed the 4/1 mana worm. Felt that was going to be stronger. He gets a second mad scientist. Not too bad. I mean, this is going to almost play itself here, though, with the Cold Light Oracle. Has the.
Gets
Yeah.
the heal bot though, which is reasonable,
Hmm.
and yeah, he can get rid of the Flame Waker here. Um, what was the emote? Do you know what the middle right one is again?
Middle right one. I think it's in the thanks.
I think Thinks is one of the top ones.
Oh,
Um,
right ones. Oof,
I'm
that's a tough one. Yeah.
completely blanking on this one. I know the bottom right is threatened. The bottom left is greetings. The top left and top right are sorry and
Top.
things. So, oh my goodness, I'm totally forgetting. Anyway, I guess we shouldn't
Maybe
worry
well
about that
played.
now.
Yeah, I think it might be well played.
I think
Yeah.
wouldn't that be the middle left though?
It's hard to tell. We'll have to look that up.
Okay, sorry, we're totally forgetting which emote that what is. But in any case, Shadowy is in a bit of trouble here. Looks like he's not going to attack into that Colite Oracle, wanting to save his dagger for a Blade Fliller potentially in future turns. But Kolento more than happy to receive some cards. He was running low, just thank you very much. Give me some more cards. I can use that with my new Flame Waker. I get the Unsealed Portal out. Gets the
Oh, and he gets the
wow.
Murloc synergy.
The
Wow.
Murloc's energy gets the war leader. That's absolutely insane. And Shadowy gonna need to draw Blade Flurry right now.
He
And
gets four chances though to draw the flurry,
he
so it's
does.
not impossible. But still, they won't kill the Flame Waker, and they will proc the secret. So, uh,
Yeah,
you want to be shadowy right now.
looking really bad. And not only that, but it'll draw Kolento 4 cards. So likely that he draws into his last Frostward or, Arcane Intel or Arcane Missiles or even, a Fireball. So okay, does pick up double Blade for it actually. So um what
He
can he
can
do
clear.
here?
Yeah.
Yeah, he can clear. He has to take 2 damage to do so, and most of his mana. But yeah, regardless, looking pretty bad.
I think though, yeah, going back to it, I still believe in Kolento. I feel like he had the stronger lineup here in this matchup.
Yeah, definitely. All right, looking at chat, the middle right one is oops. So looks like Shadowy messed up
Oops.
earlier in the game. It seems like. Thank you very much, chat, for for helping us out there. And yeah, Kolento picks up Fireball. That's the problem with giving your opponents cards, and that's going to be game for Kolento. Ties up the series 2 games to 2, and we are going to go to a fifth game.
Like we talked about, the Milrogue was definitely going to be the weak point of Shadowy's lineup here against Kolento. I felt like the tempo mage was already over almost. There was almost no chance he was going to beat the tempo mage. I felt like he had a chance for him to win the game with the Milrogue. It would most likely have to be against the rogue or the shaman, but this will definitely just come down to backstab, blade flurry, and deadly poison. He gets the blade flurry right off the bat, and
Ooh.
Kolento gets a. Oh wow, he gets also the
Yeah, even gets the
deadly
deadly
poison.
poison. That's so good here. And I don't know. I think I would mulligan this Colite Oracle as well. Try to get that Death Lord. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree with you completely. I think there's no chance he keeps Thalnos.
I mean, basically, you want to have your cold light when you run out of cards, and not have it kind of dead in your hand, wondering whether you're able to play it because it might help your opponent. But looks like he gets Brand for the third game in a row. Not liking to see that Brand is basically more of a finisher to use with your Cold Light Oracle, maybe even to use with that heal bot to heal for 16, but not something you want to see early game as we see Kolento picks up the Tunnel Trog, but just a turn too late. And we'll see if he goes for that or goes for the Totem Golem, which it would be the stronger play. I imagine it will be that Totem Golem, which is pretty hard for Shadowy to deal with.
I mean, I guess we have to, compare it. It's going to be Trog into possibly a Power Mace or a Spider Tank versus just going for the Totem Golem right now. I don't blame him going for the Totem Golem right now. It's really hard to deal with. Now we get the Oracle on top of that, so it seems pretty interesting. I think it will just come down to the mana from Kolento and
And to
the
add
Shadowy
insult,
draw, yeah.
yeah, to add insult to injury, Shadowy can't even play because of lag issues right now, seemingly. So looks like he's going
Ouch.
to reconnect to the game. And okay, right. So his hero power went through, and most likely just gonna have to pass here, unable to deal with this totem golem, and that's basically why you play it, right? You're basically getting out a 3-mana minion on turn 2, and it's so hard to deal with. And he picks up the top tech totem golem, Shadowy with his hand on his forehead. Not like this, he's probably thinking.
You'll need to give up 3 cards to clear this, and it's not the scenario you want to be in here.
Wow. Even
Shadowy.
so, he's gonna play the Cold Light Oracle and give his opponent more chances. Does pick up the Vanish though, which could be pretty useful for him.
That is true, but is he gonna have to just end turn here and look for a Vanish? Yeah, I mean, I would think it would be pretty horrible to try to clear any of this. I think it's and ending turn here is the only realistic option.
Yeah, probably just going to go for that end turn and hopefully get a good Vanish off next turn. But we do see the Doomhammer in the hand of Kolento, so I mean he's not really concerned with getting his board cleared, so to speak. He has plenty of damage from the hand, and this is typically why it's hard to make Milrogue work in these circumstances.
No question here. Power Mage coming down instantly, killing the Cold Light Oracle. Looking at 6 damage to the face here, and not overextending to Blade Flurry. Kolento playing this really well here. What are we going to be looking at here?
So Shadowy is 1 mana off being able to do something like coin Cold Light Oracle into Prep Vanish. Although, I mean, that wouldn't be the best play anyway, but I mean, he can just Blade Flurry this, but he takes another 3 damage to the face. And
He
it's not,
can actually go coin Cold Light Oracle Prep Vanish, I guess. No, it's yeah.
it would be
I think
3
so.
plus 3, right?
Oh yeah, it's true. Yeah. So we look at probably Sap even. Is that kind of like Sap backstab deadly here?
Yeah, that could be something. I mean, you get the totem golems off the board and are able to potentially deal with them in the future. But looks like he's just going to go for the prep vanish, and that's it. As well as play the deadly poison for future turns. And I mean, it kind of makes sense. Kolento is rubbing his face as well, wondering what to do against this, wondering what the best plan of action is. As we do see, Shadowy has the potential to Blade Flurry Kolento in the future. So. Yeah, kind of hard to navigate from Kolento's side as well. I mean, obviously you don't play against Milrogue every day, even if you're playing ladder a lot. So, going to be very difficult for both players. But I would say that Kolento is in a pretty clear lead here with all that burst in hand.
That is true, but things can turn around very quickly here. As next turn we could be seeing a Brand Prospect Oracle draw, but still Kolento has only 6 cards in hand, so there's some options here. Eviscerate, a strong draw.
Yeah, actually a lot of options here for Shadowy. What if he? I mean, he could go for Brand Coin, Cold Light, and he would not overdraw. But looks like he's instead wanting to go for a Blade. Oh, he is going for go for the Brand Cold Light Oracle. So just gonna get that backstab out first. He wouldn't have.
There's no reason to get the backstab out first, it's just a
Yeah,
sequencing error.
yeah, he wasn't going to overdraw anyway. So kind of interesting there, but. Yeah, going to almost certainly use the Blade Flurry here. Has to take the 3 damage, unfortunately, for him. But he will clear the board. And what did Kolento pick up? He picked up a Rock Biter. Also gets the Hex. What do you think about the Hex in the aggressive Shaman?
It's pretty noteworthy, but I guess, yeah, I mean, I actually wouldn't mind him to go for the Shadow Step here. Maybe even replay the Oracle.
Right.
I mean, it makes Kolento discard 4 cards and you go up to 10 cards yourself.
Yeah, it
No,
could
wait,
be.
9 cards even, yeah. Like, why not do that? Why not? He's looking for potentially a heal bot to do that? I mean,
Yeah, maybe he feels like he needs the minion combat on board to potentially deal with whatever comes out. Kolento, on the other hand, he has, a lot of options here. Uh, I mean, he can just hit his opponent for 10 if he wants to. And then from there just try to burn him down. But that's a little bit scary if your opponent has the heal bot in hand. He immediately heals for 16, so it's hard to get around. I mean, I think that Kolento might just respect this Brand Bronzebeard and clear it. And then from there, just try to win afterward. Or he could just go face. Let's see what he attacks. Okay, it's going to probably go to the Brand Bronzebeard and then go to the face, I believe, right?
I like this. This plays around heal bot, which Kolento may think that he has. He can get ooh, gang up here. Does he go for the gang up?
Yeah, that's pretty tough. I mean, do you want to go for the gang up on your Collate Oracle to give you more options in the future, or do you go for the gang up on a future heal bot? You could also gang up your Death Lord just to get things in the way. Though we do see that Kolento has that Hex in hand, which is kind of crazy, but will be pretty useful to him. And looks like Shadowy's going to start off with drawing some cards first before he makes a decision.
Yeah, I think this will come down to the defensive cards from Shadowy, not the offensive cards. He gets Deadly Poison. It's not going to be any good. We're looking at gang up, okay, and a Death Lord coming down here. Not too bad yet. Shadowy willing to survive. Going to definitely on the aggression here.
So Kolento looks. I mean, he has 5 mana, so he could have lethal here. In fact, no, he has guaranteed lethal, I believe. No, he doesn't because he has to use Hex. I'm sorry, I'm going crazy. I was thinking.
It's going to come down to the crackle. Yeah, how much he hits for with the crackle.
Yeah, he
Absolutely.
could win. He could win with just Lava Burst Crackle right now for 50-50. But I was just getting confused with hexing first and then using the Lava Burst. But I was for some reason not counting the 3 mana for the hex. But yeah, he doesn't have guaranteed lethal, but he does have a 50-50 if he wants to go for it. I imagine he feels like he's pretty far ahead and doesn't need to go for the 50-50 though.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, there's possibilities of going for the Anointer if he feels that there's a potential that he'll get killed. He doesn't. Oh, this is interesting.
Yeah, going for the
I kind
aggressive
of.
play. I mean, Mill Rogue doesn't kill you by, killing you normally, right? There's no actual burst. The burst is basically they make you draw a bunch of cards and then you end up just taking a bunch of fatigue damage. So I think I'm okay with him not being afraid of his for his life total.
Yeah, he feels like he's ahead and he doesn't need to be taking uh, risks now. Instead of going really aggressive, but after this, what can he do to clear?
Yeah, he just wanted to clear the board there, but that's gonna be game. He has nothing to do here. I mean, he could just eviscerate the face if he wanted to, but Kolento, I don't think he's overloaded at all, correct? And he can just double Lava Burst face.
Hmm.
He's way over lethal. He can even double Lava Burst Crackle, and he has 4 damage coming just on the board. So that's going to be it. As soon as Shadowy decides to end his turn, I guess he's just contemplating whether or not to use his eviscerate on face. But yeah, as soon as this rope burns out or Shadowy clicks the enter button, Kolento will be your victor. We'll just see how much BM comes out of him.
Knowing Kolento, probably not a lot. He's known for very little emotion here in the EU scene. But if we look at the series as a whole, I felt like Shadow did a good job. Played well. He got 2 wins.
Oh, there's the BM.
Ooh.
Look, there, BMs himself gets this 6 damage. So there you go. Kolento is able to take the win. I wonder if the Chinese fans are more happy about Kolento losing or Kolento winning than Shadowy losing. That's actually kind of interesting. I want to kind of see the Chinese fans' reaction. This is pretty funny. But in any case, that is going to be a win for Kolento. He is 1 step closer to making it to the single elimination finals. And Shadowy drops his first match in a major televised event.